you have been my hero, as I said, from my teenage age on. And so when did you start?
When I was a very small boy, I began reading comic books and newspaper strips, and they were my favorite. More than TV, radio, movies, comics were my early passion. And I developed my skills to the point that when I was 13, I was confident enough. I produced, today you would call it a zine, but back then it was printed on an old-fashioned machine with a cylinder. You could make maybe 50 copies and then it wouldn't work. But I would sell these to my classmates for 5 cents, which when I was 13, remember, a comic book was 10 cents. So it was good money for a 13-year-old. And that gave me confidence, not just to draw cartoons, but also to write the publication and to publish it, because I was able to print it, get the money, distribute it. All of those things I didn't realize when I was young, but that enabled me later to wear many hats as a publisher, an author, a cartoonist, an agent. So that's the story in a, we say, a nutshell.
In a nutshell, yeah. You have with your underground comics, there often have scenes like Sax, a good friend of mine. He, when I told him I will meet you, he says, "Oh, he's my hero because he put out the first gay comic books in the States." And did you ever get problems with the content of your comic books?
I expected to. I anticipated it, but we always flew under the radar. And there were other busts that did not involve me. A Zap comic was busted, little incidents here and there, but I think the government had bigger problems than the comics. We had the war in Vietnam, and we had so many other problems going on that we were able to get away with murder, as we put it. And to be outrageous was part of the purpose. You know, every generation must distinguish itself from the previous generation. So besides long hair and smoking pot and against the war, and we wanted to be outrageous, and comic books had been censored in America with the, the Comics Code. So we were the first generation who said, fuck the comic code. We will do whatever we want. We will not work for Marvel, DC, Disney, none of the big companies. We will do our own. And there were so many hippies at this point that as a small publisher, I was able to print and sell tens of thousands of underground, sometimes over 100,000. We had a large audience. So we didn't need the big company. And we also, it was important to me because I was an artist myself. And early on, I felt I was ripped off by an American publisher. So when I became a publisher, I said, the first rule is I will be very fair with other artists. The golden rule. I want to treat them like I want to be treated. So we set up a royalty system. The art was always returned to the artist. If there was something translated in Germany, anywhere, we made sure the artist got the fair share. So it was a very different economic system. And now that has become more the standard than ever before. So, on many levels, without necessarily being conscious of it, we were revolutionizing the business.
That's what I would say, because really some of the benefits they have today, it goes back of what you at this time have done.
So. But the young artists, they're not grateful. No.
That was the other question. It is, well, how is the underground scene in the U.S. these days?
Well, it's mixed. My youngest daughter is 25, and she's a cartoonist, and she is more politically correct and feminist and a vegetarian and part of the LGBTQ community, and she looks at things I published, you know, things like this, and she says, mein Gott, Father, you know. She thinks I should be ashamed of some of it. But what I tried to explain to her, and anyone else younger who doesn't understand, is there's always a rebellion. And I was part of a large generational rebellion. And what we were doing might offend some people then or now. But it is what it is.
Would the scene need some more new revolutions?
Well, I think it's continual, you know. Every generation must rebel. After the hippies, you had the punks. The punks hated hippies. The hair was different, the music was different, the metal in the faces, everything anti-hippie. And now, you know, the punk scene is gone. There's always something new. And as Mr. Natural said, 'twas ever thus.
Yeah. I'm lucky to be a part of this book that came out here in Germany, and it is based on a cover you have done how many years back?
51 years ago.
51 years back. And it's a giant penis that invaded New York. And you put it on one of the magazines and never made a story out of it.
No.
What's done now? But the question is, why did you never do the story?
I didn't have time because I was mostly a publisher. So there were some complaints at the time. And last year, Anya and Chris, the editors of U-Comics, they asked me, would I be okay if they asked other artists to tell the rest of the story? And I said, that's a great idea, but I never imagined they would find 25 writers and artists to do it. So I think it's wonderful. It's also crazy, but I'm pleased. So I contributed a new page where the giant penis is now old and he has a white beard, and he's being interviewed about his life. So now it's become a bit autobiographical, and I guess in some ways I have become the big dick, you know. But the thing is, and you know, some people may still be a little offended, but to me, dicks are inherently funny. It's a funny appendage on a male body, you know. And the eyeball, yeah, and the eyeball makes it's not pornographic.
No.
It's supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
So I hope most people laugh, and if you are too conservative or religious, forgive me. I will probably go to hell, but I can't change history. But I'm delighted that mostly German artists, a few Americans, made this happen.
Well, and I'm glad to be part of it, and so thank you for saving my youth. Thank you for bringing my interest to the comic books, and thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for this short interview. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you, Stefan. It's been a pleasure meeting you. And,
Hope next time again.
I hope so.